Okay, so remember that feeling when you first started learning a new language?
Yeah.
Like it can be so overwhelming, can't it? It feels like you're at the bottom of this massive mountain.
Right.
And fluency, like the top, seems so far away.
I totally agree. Like, just the thought of everything you need to learn
Right.
can be so daunting.
Totally.
But, the key is to remember it's not like a sprint to the top.
Yeah.
It's more about finding a good pace for you, a routine that, fits in your life, and just focus on making progress consistently.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to be diving into today, actually.
Okay.
A daily routine that can really help accelerate your English learning. And get this, it's only 30 to 60 minutes a day.
Wow. Okay.
We found some great sources that have like a plan that covers all the bases.
Yeah.
From listening and speaking to vocabulary and grammar.
What's really interesting about the routine we're looking at is that it uses different learning modes
Oh,
throughout the day. So you're always engaging with English, but you're not going to get overwhelmed.
I love that approach.
Yeah.
So let's start with the morning routine then.
Okay.
The idea is to just sort of ease into your day with some gentle, passive, English exposure.
Right.
Like imagine you're sipping your coffee, maybe still half asleep, but you've got a podcast playing in the background.
Yeah.
That's pretty effortless, right?
Exactly. And it's all about just making English a natural part of your day.
Right.
And speaking of podcasts, our sources recommend some great ones, actually.
Oh, cool.
Ones that are perfect for beginners, such as BBC Learning English, The English We Speak, or ESL Pod.
Oh, those are really good.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started listening to podcasts in English, I used to get really hung up on understanding every single word.
Yeah.
I would pause all the time and look things up.
Right.
And I realized after a while it was actually making me learn slower.
Oh, that's interesting. Why do you think that was?
I think it interrupted the flow, of listening. It just made it feel like a chore rather than something enjoyable.
Yeah.
I wasn't really absorbing the language organically, I don't think.
Yeah. That makes sense. I think you're right. When you focus too much on single words, you miss the bigger picture, the context, and that's where the real learning happens.
Yeah, and one of the sources actually mentioned a really good tip for that.
Oh, cool.
Instead of immediately grabbing your phone or a dictionary when you hear a new word,
Right.
try and guess the meaning from the other words in the sentence.
Ooh, I liked that.
Right.
That's a great strategy.
That's like a little puzzle.
Yeah,
And it makes it more fun.
absolutely. It makes listening more active, too.
Right.
And it really trains your brain to think in English.
I agree. I think that's what really helped me start to feel more comfortable with English. You start to see how the pieces fit together.
Right.
And the language doesn't seem so foreign anymore.
I think you're so right. And when you think about it, relying on context like that is a much better way to build vocabulary than just memorizing lists of words.
Totally.
Your brain's making connections.
Right.
And that's what leads to real fluency.
So we're encouraging our listeners to be a bit like detectives in the morning then.
Yeah, absolutely. Embrace that inner Sherlock Holmes
Right.
and see what you can figure out from the clues around you.
I love it. So now let's move on to the afternoon
Okay.
where the routine shifts a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving from that passive listening to more active practice because let's face it,
Yeah.
you can't become fluent just by listening.
Right. You got to speak it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting. Our sources talk about a technique
Okay.
that honestly might surprise you. And you can do it anywhere, anytime. Talking to yourself in English.
Ooh. Interesting.
Okay, I have to admit that does sound a little strange. Aren't people going to think I'm crazy if they hear me talking to myself?
I understand the hesitation, but trust me, it might feel a little silly, but there's a good reason why this works.
Okay.
When you practice speaking aloud, even if it's just to yourself, you're training your brain to think in English.
Oh, okay.
You're basically creating a mental shortcut that, cuts out the translation step.
So all those random thoughts I have in my head,
Yes.
they're actually helpful if I do them in English.
Exactly. Every little bit counts. You're building those neural pathways for smoother speech. And the more you practice, the less you'll stumble over words in a real conversation.
Okay. I'm willing to try it. But what if I want to actually practice with another person?
Well, we're lucky to have technology, really, right?
Okay.
There are apps like Hello Talk and Pandem that let you connect with native English speakers all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
And you can just practice speaking together.
I've heard of those.
Yeah.
It's like having a pen pal, but for speaking.
Right, exactly.
And then we've got all these cool new AI tools now, like ChatGPT,
Oh, yeah.
which can be so helpful for practicing conversation anytime.
It's like having a tutor, right?
It is, yeah, 24/7.
Yeah. And one of the sources mentioned a fun challenge
Okay,
that you can try with a language partner or an AI tool.
cool.
You take a simple sentence in your native language like, today is a beautiful day and I have a lot of work to do, and translate it aloud into English.
That's great.
Yeah, it's like a mini translation workout.
Right. It forces you to think on your feet.
Exactly. And it helps
Yeah.
you spot any gaps you might have in grammar or vocab.
So we've got this action-packed afternoon routine.
Right.
We've got passive listening in the morning and active speaking practice in the afternoon. What's next in our English learning marathon?
Well, as we head into the evening,
Right.
it's time to, wind down
Yeah.
with a more comprehensive approach, like solidifying everything we did during the day.
I like that. After a long day, I'm definitely ready for something more relaxing,
Yeah.
like reading a good book or an article.
It doesn't even have to be a textbook.
Okay.
Our sources suggest spending, 10 to 15 minutes reading anything in English that you enjoy.
Right.
Articles, blog posts, even social media.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
So scrolling through Instagram can count as language practice.
Absolutely. As long as the content's in English,
Yeah.
you're passively absorbing all that good stuff, vocab, sentence structure,
Yeah.
even slang.
I am all about finding sneaky ways to learn English.
Me too.
Any recommendations for finding some good reading material?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So our sources recommend The Guardian,
Okay.
the Simple English Wikipedia. Those are great places to start.
Okay.
You could also, check out blogs, find some that are about your hobbies.
Love it. Tailoring it to your passions.
Right.
But what about grammar? I'll be honest, that's always the part that I struggle with the most.
Oh, I understand. It can be intimidating. But one of our sources had a really good tip.
Okay, good.
Instead of trying to learn, all the grammar rules at once, just focus on one rule a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So maybe one day you'll, work on the present perfect tense.
Right.
And the next day you can move on to prepositions.
That sounds a lot more manageable.
Yeah, right.
Little grammar workouts.
Exactly. And to really help it sink in, try writing down a few example sentences, using that rule.
Okay. Yeah.
Keep it short, simple.
Got it.
And to wrap up the evening routine,
Okay.
our sources recommend a little journaling session.
Oh, nice.
Don't worry, it doesn't have to be a novel.
Okay.
Even just a few sentences about your day in English can be really helpful.
Okay, you could do that.
Yeah,
It's a nice way to, reflect on everything you learned during the day.
exactly.
And it's more practice with that vocab and grammar.
It's like closing the loop on your daily learning.
Yeah.
And the best part is, the whole evening routine can take less than 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that this entire deep dive is all about fitting language learning into your life.
Yeah,
No matter how busy you are. But there's more, right?
there is.
We can't forget about the fun stuff.
Right, you're right. We can't forget about having fun while we learn.
Exactly.
It's got to be enjoyable.
Yeah.
Our sources really highlight that, actually, making sure you're doing things you like
Right.
and making English a part of your downtime, not just another thing on your to-do list.
So we're talking guilt-free entertainment.
Exactly.
Sign me up. What kind of stuff are we talking here?
Think of the things you already love doing in your free time. Watching movies, listening to music, playing games.
Right.
Now imagine doing all that in English.
Okay, I can see where you're going with this.
Yeah.
I have to admit, sometimes watching movies or shows in English can be a bit tough,
Sure.
especially, if the actors have strong accents or they talk really fast.
Yeah, so our sources suggest starting with something familiar,
Okay.
like rewatch some of your favorite movies or shows, but with English subtitles this time.
Oh, okay.
It's crazy how much you can pick up just by reading along.
I remember doing that a lot, actually,
Yeah.
with learning English.
Uh-huh.
It helped me, connect the words I was hearing
All right.
with how they're written.
Right.
And it made me notice different accents more.
Yeah.
Plus, you get to watch your favorite shows again.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Totally.
And, another great resource is TED Talks.
Oh, yeah.
The speakers are usually really engaging, and the topics are so interesting.
Yeah, they cover everything.
They do. It's like a crash course on anything you're interested in English.
It's perfect.
It is.
And a lot of the talks have transcripts, too.
Oh, that's right.
So if you miss something,
Yeah,
you can always go back and read it.
exactly.
TED Talks are amazing.
They are.
We should also mention word games.
Yes, those are fun.
Things like Scrabble or Boggle,
Yeah.
even crossword puzzles in English.
Yeah, totally.
They can really help you learn new words.
And they don't feel like studying, right?
Exactly.
It's all about sneaking that learning in.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's like a mental workout, but fun.
It is. And, for those who are up for a challenge,
Right.
our sources have a weekend booster challenge.
Okay, I'm listening.
Try watching a whole movie or episode with no subtitles.
Whoa! Okay, that's a big step.
I know, it sounds intimidating.
It does.
But it's a great way to, see how far you've come.
Okay, yeah.
And if you can understand most of it, that's a huge confidence boost.
Yeah, true.
It's a good test.
It is.
And the other weekend challenge they recommend is recording yourself speaking in English.
Oh, that's always a bit scary.
I know, right?
It's like hearing your voice on a recording for the first time.
Yeah, it can be a little jarring.
It can be, but how does that help with language learning?
It's a great way to look at how you're doing objectively. You can listen to your pronunciation, fluency, and grammar.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching a replay after a game.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how do I actually do this recording thing?
So our sources say, pick a topic you're passionate about.
Right.
It could be your favorite hobby, something that happened recently, or even just describing your dream vacation.
Right.
Then just record yourself talking about it for a few minutes, like you're explaining it to a friend.
Got it. So just talk naturally.
Exactly. You don't have to make a perfect speech or anything.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
get comfortable expressing yourself.
And then I listen back to it.
Yes, but listen critically.
Okay.
Pay attention to your pronunciation, how fast you're speaking, your intonation.
Right.
Are you speaking clearly and confidently? Are you pausing in the right spots?
Those are all such important parts of speaking English.
They are.
It's easy to forget about them when you're just trying to get the words out.
Exactly.
So this is a good way to focus on those things.
Right. Yeah. And you might be surprised by how much you've improved without realizing it.
Right.
We can be our own worst critics.
That's true.
But this exercise can also be really encouraging.
I like that.
It shows you how far you've come.
Yeah. Progress isn't always obvious, is it?
No, it's not.
Especially with languages, it can feel really slow sometimes.
Right. So it's good to take a step back and reflect.
I agree.
So we've talked about a lot today.
We have.
Passive listening, active speaking,
Mhm.
even some fun challenges for the weekend.
Right. What's the big takeaway from all this?
The most important thing our sources emphasize is that the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to make progress.
That is so true. It's so easy to get hung up on the idea of fluency.
Yeah.
Like it's this finish line you have to cross,
Uh-huh.
but it's really a journey.
It is. There are going to be ups and downs.
Totally.
Times when you get frustrated and want to quit.
Yeah, I've been there.
But the key is to just keep going,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's just for 30 minutes a day.
Right. Consistency is key.
Exactly. All those little efforts add up over time.
And every step takes you closer to your goal.
Exactly. And don't forget to enjoy the process.
Yeah,
Learning a language should be fun.
it should be.
It opens up so many doors for you.
It does.
You can connect with new people, experience new cultures.
It's a whole new world.
It really is.
I think what's really great about this routine
Yeah.
is that it's not just about learning English.
That's true.
It's about building good habits,
Mm-hmm.
like a habit of lifelong learning.
Yeah, I love that.
These skills can be applied to anything you want to learn.
Absolutely. It's about being curious and wanting to learn new things.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive. But before we go,
Yeah.
we want to hear from you,
Yes.
our listeners.
Definitely.
We've shared a ton of tips today,
Mm-hmm.
but everyone's language journey is different, right?
Of course.
So what are some of your favorite ways to learn English?
Yeah, tell us.
What challenges have you faced,
Mm-hmm.
and how did you overcome them?
We want to know.
Yeah, share your experiences,
Mhm.
your aha moments,
Yeah.
even your struggles.
It's how we learn from each other.
Right.
Exactly.
We're all in this together.
We are.
So don't be shy. Head over to the comments
Yes.
or send us a message.
We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we really would.
And remember, no matter where you are on your English journey,
Mhm.
whether you're just starting out or you're practically fluent already,
Yeah.
the most important thing is to keep practicing, keep exploring, and never give up on your goals.
That's so well said.
Thank you.
This has been such an inspiring deep dive.
It has.
And I hope everyone feels super motivated to,
Yeah,
take their English to the next level.
I hope so too.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you all today.
The pleasure was all mine.
Until next time,
Hmm.
keep learning, keep growing,
Mhm.
and keep those conversations flowing.
Yes.